Hello everyone, it's Jamarl Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So in 2016, there was a tragedy of democracy. A tragedy of democracy, you can call it that. There was hope that was put on the ballot. Not the sugary hope like Obama, but actual hope. Somebody who spent 40 years, day in, day out, getting out of bed in the morning, going to work, meaning Congress, fighting for particular objectives that are representing his interests, his base, just people in general, humanity. Day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. I want to keep doing that because I want to get across the repetitiveness of that action. Now, it's repetitive to me, and it is repetitive to him also, but ultimately I just want to make this case that There's days are long. Days are long. And he's out there fighting for our interests for the past X number of years and hasn't changed one iota, regardless of the pressures that were placed upon him. For the most part, he retained his integrity. For the most part. I'll put quotes, but for the most part. That hope, the real thing, was on the ballot. What do you want this country to be? What do you believe this country could be, more importantly? What do you believe it could be? And if you had a public that could see it, not just the poet, not just the dreamer, not just the artist, but you had somebody who could galvanize a country and get them to see what this country can be, not in some Republican conservative, mythic terms, but in real world terms about how their lives can be better. That was on the ballot versus standard quo. That was the choice in the Democratic primaries. Now, the Republican primaries had some weirdness of their own, but ultimately, for the first time in God knows how long, hope, actual hope, was on the ballot. In the form of an old Jewish man with hair going all across his place with a thick Brooklyn accent. He wasn't sexy. He didn't need to be. The things that came out of his mouth resonated with a generation that was sick of being screwed over on the left and on the right. That guy was cheated. That guy was cheated. Status quo hit him in the knees in order to limp across the finish line. He was down 60 points when this campaign started. And when he finished, and despite being cheated horrendously throughout the entire primaries, he still ended up with almost 47% of the vote. The public clearly wanted something different. And guess what? The person who cheated, the person who limped past the primaries, Hillary Clinton, she lost to reality show hosts. A guy that in every poll that was taken, Sanders was up by 10, 15 points over. She lost to a reality show host. An orange reality show host that got his jollies, that got his kicks off of fire has-been celebrities who wanted to try to get back into the fame. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. They set her to be the most experienced candidate in the history of candidates, and she lost to what she called the worst thing in the history of worst things. That's our situation. And that worst thing in the history of worst things is now President of the United States. And he's going to do monstrous things in that office. But guess what? So is she. So is she. But it's a moot point now because she lost to that reality show host. The point I'm having this conversation today has to do with additional information in regards to the cheating and how pernicious it was in one particular state. This came out in the Observer today. Now, this article, I knew some of this. So I knew about, everybody saw the overt cheating when they were at the convention. Sanders supporters or Sanders delegates were excluded from coming into the convention by Hillary people who were in charge of it. And then they had some fraudulent vote. And then they closed down the debate. Now, you can watch the video. Sanders, his supporters clearly won the vote, not to shut the debate down, but they shut the debate down anyway. In doing so, allowing Hillary Clinton to take that state. Sanders supporters were pissed, of course. And then the narrative came out. These guys were angry, aggressive, and throwing chairs. Now, the amazing part of this is how seamless it was to get into the press. I mean, you would think they would be skeptical and everything else of campaigns saying something like this, but they were pretty uncritical. That's amazing. The New York Times ran crummy stories about this, and at no point did they do a retraction. It didn't matter. Fake news is fake news, even with the gray lady. I'm going to read this, because this is awesome, because there's stuff in this that I had no clue took place. It is damning. It is absolutely damning. And it makes it that much more despicable that Sanders in any way is helping this party. It makes it that much more despicable. On September 15th, former congressional candidate in Nevada's 4th District, Dan Roll, took to Twitter to explain how, starting in 2012, the Nevada Democratic Party began changing the state voter registration system as a means to rig the caucuses for Clinton. Most state Democratic parties, including Nevada, moved to NGPVAN database systems, which Roll said facilitated the monopolization of voter data in favor of Clinton. So think of it this way. You aggregate those things or you move to a particular system. He's making a point that when they moved to that system, it favored Clinton in some way. But he continues. So now, if you're Hillary Clinton and you have this particular system, you know everything about every Democrat, including who won't vote for you, Roll tweeted. So how do you fix that? Simple. Vote Builder. A piece of software that can change the voter file, and you do that with that particular voter system. So think of it this way. People who are more so in favor of Hillary Clinton get their hands on a monopolized voter roll, meaning all these people are aggregated into one voter roll using this database system. With that database system, you have access to all the information of anybody who's eligible to vote in the Democratic caucus in that state. You also have a piece of software that can go through and change that information. So it seems like we have a lot of people here who are undesirable voters. Hey, we also have a tool here to fix that. Roll attended a fundraising call before Nevada caucuses between Clinton campaign manager Robbie Mook and Nevada Democratic donors, who were worried she would lose the state as 70% of newly registered voters were expected to support Sanders. According to Roll, there was a meeting with donors in New York leading up to the Nevada caucuses where donors were threatening to pull out. Think about that. Her donors are telling her, if you lose Nevada, we will pull out of this. You are going to lose Nevada. These guys have 30%. Or 70% of the people registering to vote are for Sanders. They clearly want Sanders. You're going to lose this. They're threatening to pull out if she loses or if she doesn't do something about this. That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. I met with Nevada Democratic Executive Board members who told me they were aware of caucus members being bussed in from California. Roll told the Observer, noting there was significant discrepancies with the Nevada Democratic voter file. When I pressed on the accuracy of the file, I was told it's garbage by an executive board member. Over the course of Roll's campaign in Congress in Nevada this year, his team found anywhere between 5 to 10% discrepancies and higher in the voter file. You reach a point statistically where you say, hey, we're running for Congress and 20% of the voter file is garbage. On the voter file, names were incorrect, phone numbers didn't work. So you call someone on the file and they say, oh, that's not me. Or I moved 3 years ago. 1 or 2 you'd expect, but 15 and 100 calls? That's election swinging right there. Clinton defeated Sanders in Nevada caucuses 52.6 to 47.3%, a margin lower than the accuracy of the voter file. Nevada's caucuses are weird. They're just odd in general in the way they do them. There's like multiple steps in the process. But you're only eligible to vote, I'd imagine, if you're a Democrat. At least that's what it sounds like. You had an influx of people who were coming into the party, the majority of which were voting for Sanders. How do you know that? You had access to the voter rolls. Or somebody who's in your camp has access to the voter rolls. Now, he's making this point that, look, a large percentage of those voter rolls were garbage. And it was even to the point of them saying they were bussing in people from California. Look, in each state, these people control the electoral mechanism, meaning they control the gears of the apparatus. And controlling the gears of the apparatus, are you going to tilt that to somebody who you yourself prefer? Yes. Now, are you going to tell people that you're tilting that? No, you're not. You're not. You're playing for stakes in regards to the presidency of the United States. You are in the camp with one particular person. The other guy, not so much. And you're telling me that you're not going to take any steps whatsoever to try to help your candidate get in when you know your candidate is going to lose. And you know because you have access to the voter files. The process for recording the results in Nevada caucuses were unreliable and easily subject to voter manipulation. I want to skip this part because Jimmy Dore has an awesome video on this. But ultimately, the guy calls for a vote. It's completely disorganized. He's mentally incompetent. And they don't even choose the actual people to go, the delegates. Some of those people left. They didn't even register who were voting. This article is making this point that Nevada caucuses were run in a shoddy way. Now, I'm making the point that if you have an establishment power structure, those fuck-ups tend to lean towards the establishment, meaning they tend to help the other person. It's always amazing to me that these things never help the underdog. That's always somewhat amazing to me. You have a situation where this thing is massively unreliable in regards to the way the voter data is. The way they're running the process is massively unreliable, and I would even argue unprofessional by what I saw in the Jimmy Dore clip. And let's keep going, because ultimately right here you're seeing corruption at a base level. Somebody's going for Hillary Clinton. They're doing things to add to around the margins to help Hillary Clinton. The process of recording results from Nevada caucus just involved a person, usually sent out there by Nevada Democratic Party, entering the results into a website on a phone. No cross-referencing, no validation. You have people entering, voting, and leaving before business concludes with no verification. So if they were busing people in from California, like the guy said, there would be no way to know. It's amazing. It's amazing how these things always favors the person who the establishment themselves want in that office. Roe confronted the Nevada Democratic Party about the disorganization and lack of communication at several Nevada caucus sites. I was told, we're working on it and we're learning. Not, there isn't fraud. Roe noted that the Nevada caucuses could easily have swung one or two delegates at several different sites, swaying the state in Hillary Clinton's favor. Meaning this process was so disorganized and colluded, disorganized. But the disorganization itself could have easily bled off one or two delegates for Clinton. That's all she needed. That's all she needed. Now, this is another point that's amazing that I did not know. Senator Reid played a major role in tipping the Nevada caucuses in favor of Hillary Clinton. Reid, who maintained neutrality until shortly after the caucuses, at which point he endorsed Hillary Clinton, called in favors to casino owners asking for workers to be sent to caucus sites in Las Vegas. If Harry Reid is going to push the needle with the unions, union workers going to the polls, Nevada is the state to do it, Roll added. The Culinary Workers Union, for example, did not intend to participate in Nevada caucuses until a call from Reid to the union leader changed their mind. This union wasn't going to participate. Harry Reid is claiming neutrality up front and going behind the scenes to get those culinary workers and get those union workers out to the polls to vote for Hillary Clinton. That's amazing. My point, look, the point this article is getting at is you had an establishment that's in power. That establishment favored Hillary Clinton. And favoring Hillary Clinton, they tilted the apparatus to favor Hillary Clinton. In this case, having control of the voter rolls. Weeding out some of those people in the voter rolls. Even to the degree of controlling who participates in the caucus itself when they're making those final votes. What happened at the state Nevada convention is essentially a microcosm of women. While Sanders supporters, following the caucuses, 64 Sanders delegates were rejected at the Nevada State Democratic Party convention by a board chosen by Clinton. The delegates would have given Sanders an edge. Roberta Lang, the state party's chair, denied a recount of delegates and ended the convention at her own discretion, thereby breaking party's own rules to ensure Clinton received more delegates from Nevada than Sanders. If you remember, despite all of this hijinks, Sanders ended up with more delegates. Those delegates were essentially cheated, meaning he should have ended up with more votes out of Nevada despite this cheating going on. They cheated overtly. You can watch the video in order to make sure Hillary Clinton ended up with more delegates. While Sanders supporters were understandably outraged, biased mainstream media coverage portrayed them as violent. Some went so far as to falsely claim Sanders supporters were throwing chairs and protests. Now, I remember this. WikiLeaks proved DNC staff intentionally pushed this narrative to discredit the Sanders campaign. So the staff that's supposed to be neutral was pushing a narrative that A, was completely fabricated, B, was fabricated to obfuscate from the fact that they were cheating in that particular primary, and C, to tar the Sanders campaign as being these kind of Bernie bros of sorts. They were supposed to be neutral, and this is the narrative they're pushing behind the scenes. What happened at the Nevada State Convention is essentially a microcosm of the entire Democratic primaries. The Democratic Party leadership breaks, bends, and circumvents the rules to help Hillary Clinton, and with Sanders supporters protests, mainstream media outlets attacked. And guess what? It's not just the Bernie thing. If you remember in the Ellison and Perez race, they broke their own rules. In that, they did the same thing. They literally broke their own rules. They were supposed to show you who were making those votes, and they hid who were making those votes. And again, you still have this stuff working behind the scenes. Perez wasn't going to be in it. Obama calls because they don't like Keith Ellison. They call the guy racist, anti-Semitic. They cheated the guy. Donald Trump is our president. They cheated the guy. What are the point of primaries? And if the point of primaries is to choose your strongest candidate, then what the hell was this? Because she certainly wasn't the strongest candidate. She couldn't get 20 people to show up at a convention. Yes, I'm being hyperbolic, but I'm not that far off. Sanders was bringing out 15,000 people at a time. I've been to those conventions. Those things were love fests. His impact in this society was mind-blowing. And I would argue more so than Obama because A, he was the actual thing. And they were terrified of him because they knew he was a true believer. They shafted the guy. I would wager that some of this had to do with Obama telling Hillary Clinton, if you support me in the primaries, I'll make you Secretary of State. I'll give you a high profile and I'll help you become president. But I need you to support me because your Hillbots are pissed and are saying they're not going to support me. So yes, he ushered her in at that point. But it's not just he ushered her in. The other people in the party assumed it was her turn. And in assuming it was her turn, they essentially bent her way. So yes, we're going to shut down polling locations. Yes, we're going to kick 100,000 people off the rolls in Bernie's birth town. Yes, we are going to do stuff like this where we're going to have voter suppression and weeding out people in the voter rolls. And yes, we're even going to go so far as to potentially change what those machines do. Because I believe it was in Arizona, when they were looking at recount, the recount was showing discrepancies. Now, you would think they would say, well, wait a minute. We want the integrity of the votes, so we want to make sure we need to do an automatic recount of all of the votes. No. They chastised the people who were inquiring, saying, hey, the hand count or the paper ballot is not matching what that tally is. They didn't do anything about it. They didn't want to do anything about it because ultimately they had the person they wanted to run. And guess what? Good job. The person lost. Donald Trump is your president. Good job. You cheated that guy. You defrauded that guy. $220 million Sanders raised. And don't get me wrong. I'm not letting Sanders off the hook here because Sanders didn't open his mouth about it. If he was supposed to be the advocate of the people, I understand that it feels kind of icky of saying they're cheating me. Oh, that guy's being a sore loser. It doesn't matter how you feel about it. People were giving you $220 million. They wanted you to be their advocate and they wanted you to be their champion. And instead, you kept your mouth shut. You let them parade you around the DNC. And then you turned around and supported that woman, the person who cheated you, relentlessly cheated you. They had you up there trying to condemn your own people, saying that they were throwing chairs. Nobody threw a chair. And yet they still hauled you out in front of the press. to try to get you to say something is wrong with your supporters. I remember this. Do you remember this? I hope you remember it because it happened to you. And you turn around and supported these people. You're at the People's Summit trying to get people to run in that particular party. Right now, trying to get people in the Democratic Party. You know what I saw? It wasn't working. I saw that despite all of the sullying yourself of trying to get people into the party, that ultimately your people were still draft Sanders. We like Sanders. We like what you're saying. We don't know shit about that party. We like what you're saying. We like what you're saying. We don't know anything about that party. This is about you. You can try as you might, but 15 million people has left that party. And 15 million people are not going to go back into that party. Those people were defrauded and cheated. And just like this particular article is showing from the Observer, the party had it in for you from the beginning. Before it was even started, they had it in for you. It is sickening that you're going to turn around and support this party in any particular way. You should be trying to destroy this party. That should be your objective. And I understand, from your perspective, you're trying to destroy it from the inside out by getting progressives in. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. I'm skeptical that that's going to happen. But good luck with that. If that works, God bless. But I'm immensely skeptical, and I've seen nothing to show that. What I have seen is you playing a Russian narrative. I've seen you toting this thing with Democrats. Being extraordinarily hypocritical at that. That's what I've seen. I've seen nothing in regards to concessions that you've gotten from this particular party. You're not getting Medicare for all, or at the very least, all of them not on board for it. Free college, they're not on board for it. You can put all these bills out all you want, but ultimately, this party is still this party. And one thing after the next shows me that the strategy is simple. We don't have to change. Trump is horrible. In 4 years, we can put anybody up. You can put a ham sandwich up, and the ham sandwich will win. That's their thinking. They're not giving in to you because they don't believe they need to. That's why I'm extremely skeptical of this strategy. But whatever. You were cheated. And you really expect your people to support the people that cheated you. You know, and this is a quick aside, and I'm going to end it on this. Bernie Sanders came out supporting Perillo. They act like Perillo was some flaming progressive. Perillo is a moderate at best. A milquetoast moderate at best. Unimaginative legislative agenda or history. If this is what you think is going to fix the party, you're massively mistaken. You're massively mistaken. And just because you want us to vote for him doesn't mean we're voting for him. I voted for neither because neither represents my interest more than the other two guys that were on the ballot. So, more evidence. I'm going to put this in my box so you guys can read it. It's infuriating. Even though you know it was true. Podesta leaks never had to come out for us to see the process and knew that they were cheating. It was clear and obvious. It was completely obvious. The Podesta leaks just solidified it. It just said, right in your face. It's right here. Are you really going to deny the evidence that shows you were cheating? And for the most part, they didn't because they knew they cheated. They're in court right now saying, we don't have to be honest. Anything that we do is essentially a political promise, which amounts to a lie. It's amazing. Guess who's supporting that party? Bernie Sanders. Alright guys, if you enjoy the content, feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support the work through PayPal or Patreon. Thank you.